Hi, my name is Eric Studer. I'm the design producer on Murdered Soul Suspect, and you're watching Eurogamer.
Greetings Ghostbusters, Ian from Eurogamer here, and I've brought with me an exclusive interview about Murdered Soul Suspect. Oh, I see what they did there. Very clever. It's about a cop called Ronan O'Connor who, after losing a fight with a 30-foot drop, turns into an ex-cop. An ex-cop who is a ghost, who must solve his own murder, while also dressed a bit like Axl Rose, now that he's old and fat.
Hey man, what are you doing? Hey! Move away from the body now! The fuck is this? Hey, did you hear me?
I contacted Eric Studer, the game's design producer, via a Ouija board and asked him to tell us more about Ronan.
Our protagonist, Ronan O'Connor, starts the game by getting himself killed. And now that he's a ghost trapped in this realm called the Dusk, he actually has to solve his own murder. In life, Ronan was an exceptional investigator, and obviously he brings those detective skills with him into the afterlife. But as a ghost, he has abilities that no one else would have access to. So in the game, you can actually possess living beings, and you can see through their eyes, you can hear through their ears, you can actually influence their thoughts. And what this does is it gives you an interesting perspective on how you solve the mystery of the game. You get information that a living cop wouldn't be able to get access to, and it's just going to take you in directions that you wouldn't expect.
Man, you were one dumb son of a bitch.
Ronan's not alone in the Dusk. There are other ghosts who exist in this space. And your only real purpose as a ghost is to try to solve your unfinished business. And so as Ronan makes his way through the environment, he's going to interact with other ghosts. He's even going to have the opportunity to help some of them try to resolve some of their lingering things that they have left over to do.
I've seen Ronan solving crimes and piecing together clues using a sort of word cloud minigame. Can you talk about that minigame and its gameplay implications?
Being a ghost is sort of a double-edged sword, right? And so Ronan has a lot of abilities, a lot of strengths that no one else would have, but he's also limited in that he can't just pick up objects and interact with them directly. And so a lot of the investigations tend to be very cerebral for him. And the way we implement most of our games, or most of the mechanics, take from that very cerebral notion of being a ghost. And so that's what you saw in that word cloud minigame. It's actually Ronan piecing together observations about what's going on in this particular clue. And so a lot of the investigation is about analyzing data on a more mental level rather than physical observations about it. So as you go through the environment, you're going to be able to play that word cloud minigame. You're going to have interactions with the living through the possession mechanic. And those are going to actually start putting in the pieces of the puzzle of the story to that point. Because we've got a very specific, clear storyline we want to tell. All of the investigations sort of serve to continue telling that storyline. And so we want the player to sort of unravel the mystery as they're playing it.
Are there any rewards for guessing the word cloud minigames correctly, or penalties for completely fluffing them up?
We're sort of playing around with that, but at a high level, the thing that's really important for us is to reward success rather than punish failure. If we punish people too much, we risk losing the audience. And we want them to experience the story. We want them to learn who these characters are. And so what we've tried to do is sort of encourage players to succeed the first time. We've got things like a ranking system that rewards you for doing well your first time through. We've got unlockables that you get as you progress through the game. Certain abilities get upgraded as you do well and things of that nature.
It's been noted that Ronan can walk through some walls and not others, notably the exterior walls on buildings. I'm guessing this is to do with programming constraints rather than anything else, but how have you written this handicap into the story?
Look, I'm just following Captain's orders here. You know the procedure when a family member is... Yeah, well. Take all the time you need, LT.
It's sort of the dichotomy of freedom and limitations. So the town of Salem is extremely supernatural, and they christen all the foundations of their buildings, and this is done out of tradition more than anything else because of the history of the city. They do this to limit the access of spirits from entering and exiting buildings, trying to keep evil spirits at bay. Well, this actually affects ghosts in that they can't cross the boundaries of an exterior of a wall of a building without a breach in that barrier. Now, other than that, though, you're pretty much not bound to the living world. Once you're inside, every interior wall is passed through. You can walk through everywhere. You can see how people are living their lives. You see that a little bit in the apartment as you know, the young boy in the bedroom, the mother walking around checking up on him as he's having nightmares, the elderly couple downstairs. It's a really great way to sort of get a slice of life of the people who are living in this space. So as a result, it's a really freeing experience for players who, once they get into these spaces, can pretty much go anywhere.
Okay, so that brings up probably the most important question I've ever asked in an interview. Does that mean we will be able to watch people going to the toilet? Or having some, how should I put it, romantic time?
The people in our Salem are very conservative.
Good answer.
Ronan is a ghost. He's already dead, so what do we as a player have to fear? Will there be any combat, or will Ronan's undead adventure revolve around detective work and puzzle solving alone?
We're not trying to be Gears of War, we're not trying to be Call of Duty or anything like that. But we want to give this sensation of threat. We don't want the player to be comfortable in the dusk. I mean, they have a purpose, they want to move on, and the enemies are another factor in that. We're trying to drive the player towards their ultimate goal. And so as you encounter enemies, they're extremely dangerous, they're extremely threatening. You have to be really careful about how you approach them. One of the tools at your disposal is to get a sense of where the enemies are on the other side of walls. You use this to help build strategies so you can get around them. Because if you try to attack them head on, you're pretty much going to be dead instantly.
Okay, so what are these enemies? Demons? Monsters? Slimer from the Ghostbusters?
Ghosts never die.
The enemies actually are corrupted human spirits. So the longer you stay in the dusk, your soul becomes more and more corrupted by this place. And if you don't resolve your unfinished business, you turn into one of these monsters. Once you've turned into them, you pretty much lose all sense of self. And these demons, the only thing that they hold on to, the only sign of last sense of humanity they have is this belief that by devouring the souls of other humans, they can regain their own humanity.
As Ronan gets more powerful as a ghost, will he be able to interact with physical objects? Will we be able to go into people's houses and pick up saucepans and things and freak NPCs out poltergeist style?
We have some limited poltergeisting abilities, and you're going to use that in the puzzle aspects, sort of directing where other characters maneuver, walk around, things of that nature. And you'll be able to actually interact with the ghost world. We have a few abilities that allow the player to change the nature of the environment in the dusk and things of that nature. So yes, as you work your way through the game, you get to access some of this stuff.
How about floating or flying? I've not seen Ronan float at all, and most ghosts float. At least according to the cartoons I watch, they do. Will Ronan be able to float or fly, or is he bound by some sort of ghost gravity?
What you'll see in the demo a little bit, we use it in combat, there is a limited ability for the player to teleport around the environment. And so that says you can sort of locate instantaneously from one space to another.
Teleportation is cool, but I'd have liked the ability to be able to float up and down through the floors, Aiden from Beyond Two Souls style. In fact, it does seem that Airtight Games have missed out on a lot of cool opportunities to play around with the ghost aspect of the game. Being able to freak out NPCs using poltergeist skills would have been ace, but it sounds like that option is only available in a few linear set pieces. It's almost like they came up with one cool idea, a cop's ghost investigating his own death, and then struggled to find a suitable ghostly mechanic to support that premise, and so just shoehorned the idea into an LA Noire meets Ghost Trick style detective stroke puzzler game. This is all based on my first impressions from the gameplay footage you can see here though. Without a hands-on with the game or the ability to see how Ronan's adventure grows and develops past these first 10 minutes, it's impossible to tell whether or not the detective-y puzzly action and whodunit storyline are of a good enough quality to support what looks to be rather weak action elements of the game. We'll be featuring more previews of Murdered Soul Suspect closer to its release, so make sure to click on that on-screen annotation and give us a subscribe if you want to find out whether this game is the ghost with the most, or whether we suspect it will be moided. Plus there's other stuff as well. Ta-ta!
Great.